So yeah, guys. I'm here in Ghana as a photographer, as a filmmaker. I've been doing a lot of photography, shooting weddings, doing videos, shooting weddings as well, and all the events that you can think of. And I know that a lot of Ghanaians over here, like you are, if you're here in Ghana, and even wherever that you might find yourself over there in the world, you surely might have started doing weddings. So we are going to talk about a plethora of lenses that you can use. In some certain parts of during an event, basically a wedding or whatever you might find yourself shooting. So I have here with me Kwaku Woods, a well-seasoned photographer here in Ghana, particularly in Kumasi, shooting weddings. And I think a lot of events as well, right? Yeah. Portraiture and all that you can think of. So, he's going to talk about all the lenses that are over here we have sitting right in front of us. He has them all in his arsenal, and he's going to tell us what he uses for which type of photography that he does. So basically, we're going to talk about events, most precisely weddings. So yeah, Kwaku Woods, you're welcome to the channel.
Thank you for having me.
All right, wonderful. This is what we do over here to empower every guy shooting weddings.
Yeah.
Even it could be a woman. Photographers. It doesn't just. Comprise. It's just it's not gender bias, like you said. If you're a female photographer, this is gonna also be very useful to you. So, Kwaku Woods. Yes. Tell us. Shooting events. The little bit of experience that you've had before we jump into the topic of discussion for today.
All right. So first of all, thank you for having me on your channel.
Yeah. More than honored to have you two over here.
All right. And with events, a lot of things happen when you're shooting events. It's a very fast. It's moments you are capturing, and things are happening so fast that you have to be, alert, because once you miss the opportune time to capture the moment, you cannot go back.
Yes.
So one thing I've always kept at the back of my head is, to be alert.
Yeah.
To capture the most important memories for, whoever the client is.
Yeah. It's very important. Even in my journey of photography, shooting weddings, I noticed that if I hadn't practiced very well before jumping into it, it would have been a very huge problem. Because you can't just go to an event and, that's what you're going to do, the trial and error part of it. No. You have to be well versed and conversant with everything, be it the camera body you're using, the exposure triangle, the ISO, shutter speed, the aperture. You need to be versed with everything, including the lenses, which is the topic of today's video.
To cut you short, but personally for me, if I have say a wedding, I try to wake up very early. At dawn.
Yeah.
Check. My poses. I even have to. Have a diagram of the light setup I'm going to do at the event, so that when I get on set, it's everything is happening at a very
fast pace. So you are fully prepared for everything that it's not that you're going to think about what you're going to do when you are at the event, but you've already planned it all out. Okay, so we have a plethora of lenses over here. We have the 70-200 2.8, and we have over here the f4 to 5.6,
75 to 300.
Yeah, 70 to 300, and over here I think this is one of the most expensive lenses that you can find out there, the 35mm 1.4, 50mm 1.8, the 18 to 35 1.8, as well as, of course, the elephant of the room over here. Very huge, heavy lens. Even if you compare it to this being a prime lens, this is very sharp as compared to even the 70 to 200. But this is the 85mm 1.4, which is faster than the 70 to 200. Okay, so if you would tell us, when you're going to shoot a bridal dress up, which I think is mostly the first step that you take when you're shooting a very any kind of wedding. That's actually the first step that you're going to take. So tell us the choice of lenses that you pick from the arsenal of your gear.
So for the bridal dress up, I prefer to go with faster lenses. Yes. So with the 1.4, for example, you have the ability to. It's 1.4, so it allows a lot of light to enter.
The 35,
so I mostly prefer the 35, and because it's a bit wide, 35 it's wide, so I'm able to get full body shots if I want to. And sometimes you get to some rooms are very, I mean, the spaces are very small.
Yeah, not too big. Yeah.
Yes, so you are able to make your way out with a 35 1.4.
Because that's why they can actually encapsulate every width in the room and put it together.
Sometimes too, I mean, you will not be fortunate to go to a room where, I mean, everything is cleared out. Mostly the rooms are clumsy.
And sometimes if you're not even lucky, you're gonna find a lot of people entering the room like that. I mean, filling up the space.
If you have a 1.4, at least you're able to blur the background, eliminate
the distraction,
and then just focus on the subject and just nail your shot, and you're good to go.
So at what point do you normally use a 70 to 200?
Okay, so for events, I mean, when everything is, I mean, the program is going, I mostly don't want to be seen at the event. So that is when
sometimes if you walk around, you might distract the proceedings of the program.
So I prefer to be a sniper. At the program. So I'll just be somewhere, and then with my 70 to 200, just zoom in, and then
you can capture it from afar.
I'll be doing my magic.
Okay. And I also have over here, I see in front of me a lens that you normally use, the 75 to 300. This goes way beyond the 70 to 200. So at what instance would you want to go for the 75 to 300?
I mostly interchange within the 75 to 300 and the 70 to 200, depending on, you see, this is f4, yes, and this is 2.8, so depending on the mostly the lighting condition I have at my disposal, then I make the choice for the
so it looks like lenses are built in such a way that you might pick one over the other because of a plethora of reasons and conditions. So this being a lens that can go as far as 300 as compared to this that goes to 200. The advantage that the 70 to 200 has over the 75 to 300 is that this is faster in terms of the aperture. So if you're looking at allowing more light intake than the normal, you might go for this. And if you want to get to that width that you are looking for this, you might have to move forward so that you can get a much more close-up shots as you might get with the 300. But if you have a situation where there's a lot more than enough light, you can still go for the f4. And because of the focal length that you can zoom in, you can have a blurry background regardless. Okay, so we spoke about the 35mm, we spoke about 70 to 200 and 75 to 300. The 50mm, I think I would say, in my experience being a photographer, is the cheapest lens out there as compared to all that we have in front of us. So shooting on the EOS RP, as your primary camera, which is a remarkable camera if I should confess. The 50mm 1.8. In what instance would you forgo all of these and use this? I think this is quite lightweight. Maybe that would be my reason, but I mean, if you could add a bit more to why you
so you see, the 50mm, as you said, is a go-to lens for every photographer.
Yes.
Because, and what I mostly use the 50mm, it's mostly group pictures.
Okay.
So I mostly use the 50mm for group photos if I'm not using the 18 to 35. And I most of the time to prefer the 50mm for bridal dress up too. I mean, it's 1.8. It's a fast lens. And then so. So it gives you a more light intake as much as you can. And I think if you compare this to the 85 that mostly I see a lot of photographers using during bridal dress up, you can get more width because of the space constraint that you have over the 85 you would have to, I mean, push back a bit.
Exactly. And if you don't have enough room to move back, you have to resort to this lens. But what I've experienced in my journey in photography is that the reason why I would choose the 85mm to the 50mm STM 1.8 is that the 85mm is sharper.
It's very
it gives
sharp.
a bit of sharpness to the touch of the
and I also
images.
Prefer the contrast.
The contrast, exactly.
It's so beautiful.
Yes. And even with how much it blurs the background, you notice that the rendition of the blurriness, even if there's bokeh, light bulbs over there in the background, and it blurs them into those circle out of focus effect, it looks really good and looks precise as a circle, unlike some cheap lenses that you might not get a precise circle but rather ovals and all that. So I think if I'll compare these two, I mean, every lens has its use at every instance. So it's not that you should, think about you've seen a photographer using this lens and so you need to get it, but it's about the technical know-how and what you understand about lenses to make your pick.
I also believe, I mean, it's you have to ask yourself what you are doing. I mean, the path you are on.
Yeah.
That will, I mean, determine what lens you should buy.
Exactly.
Yes, because if you are not, I mean, on this path, why should you go for this lens?
True.
Yes. At the end of the day, you might consider selling at a cheaper price and then adding up to buy. So I think, I mean, identify your path.
Yes.
And then you buy the lens you want to.
True.
Yeah.
To actually get. All right. So ultimately, these are very expensive. I wouldn't lie.
Very, very
all these lenses are very expensive. If you should have all these lenses, I think with your experience in photography, you should get all the best images that you can possibly think about. But if someone is watching us right now and is now trying to get his foot out the door in photography, what would be your go-to lenses? If not just one, but let me limit it to two, because of course you can't get everything from one lens. What would be your go-to two lenses that you would use at an event, for instance, if you're starting out in photography? What would you recommend?
I mean, first of all, I mean, the 50 mm. I mean, the price and I mean, it's a very good lens. To be frank, it's a very good lens, and then it's a fast prime lens to 1.8. You are getting enough light and the blurry background.
Exactly.
And is that two? So
two.
Yes. If I mean, you start. Basically, this was what I started with.
Okay, the 50 mm 1.8.
Yes, 1.8. I mean, most photographers, I'm sure, started with this one. And if you start, I mean, getting 1 or 2 gigs, and then you save up, and then you want to advance, and I'll advise you get the 85. I mean, 85, it's a crazy lens. If you have the means, I mean, why not?
I think I see a lot of photographers shooting portraiture. With the 85 mm 1.4, because photography, when we talk about weddings, it comprises of all the genres in photography, not just the portraiture. It talks about fashion, it talks about food, beauty. It talks about landscape, beauty, and all of that. So I think the 85 mm is what I see a lot of photographers actually going for. What is so special about 85 that you would I would say you ultimately recommend for a photographer to actually get if they get the 50 mm, because you just said that after the 50 mm purchase, you're gonna go for this. It's very expensive. I wouldn't lie.
Very, very.
Because now that the world is actually turning upside down, things are getting more expensive by the minute.
Right now.
What would you say to an amateur photographer who's stepping up from a 50 mm to another lens to choose the 85? Over all the other lenses that we have in front of us?
Okay, so personally, I see the 85 to be a standard. I mean, for me, standard portrait lens.
Okay.
Yes, with the focal point, and then I mean the you can't forgo the blurriness.
Yes,
it's so crispy and creamy, and it's so beautiful. So I mean, I think that would be a reason for most people, I mean, opting for the 85 1.4.
Yes. I mean, using the 85 mm, I noticed that even though it's heavy, it gives me a lot of reach even if I'm far away. So if I'm not able to purchase this, which of course relatively more expensive than this, I would definitely go for the 85. But if you have the money to purchase this, trust me, no lens is irrelevant. Every lens over here is relevant. And looking at things over here, I've seen that you've talked about all the lenses that we have in front of us, but this is very peculiar. These are filters.
Yes.
I don't see a lot of photographers using filters, but I see a number of filmmakers using filters. But guys, filters are not just for filmmakers, but for photographers as well. So, in what instance will you use, let's say, a filter like, let's say, the ND filter, which is the simplest? I mean, for who will be watching us, maybe it's an amateur photographer beginner, why would you choose to use an ND filter first of all if you're starting out using filters on your lenses?
Okay, so mostly we resort to HSS, which is the high speed sync. I mean, when you are doing outdoors, I mean, you want to control the background and all that. But I find the ND filter to be very useful because I mean, you are able to control the exposure without touching
the settings of the
settings
camera.
of the camera.
Yeah.
So I think if you have the ND filter, it's the best, and you don't have to. I mean, and if you have to do high speed sync too, you have to. I mean, get a strobe, which is expensive.
Yes, expensive. Yeah. Like I said, the 8600 BM and all.
Yes.
Yeah, they are very expensive. They are more expensive nowadays because of the issues that we have in the world right now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. They are very expensive. So I think if you have the ND filter, it works. I mean, perfectly. Like you are doing a high speed sync.
Okay.
Yes. So I mean, you are able to control the background, the light, as I said earlier, without touching the settings
of the camera,
your shutter speed and all that.
And all that.
So I think photographers should, start
look into getting filters as well. Guys, I've been using filters myself, and I wouldn't lie, they've really helped me out because trying to work your way around some settings, let's say exposure and all that, the quickest way that you can actually go without touching the settings of your camera is going with the ND filter, for instance. We actually have a plethora of filters that you can choose from. We have the ND that we have spoken about. We have the UV filters that actually protects the front element of your lens. Let's say you want to protect it. It's not just going to protect the front element, but also to reduce the reflections and the refractions of the sun as against your lens when you're shooting towards the direction of the sun. And you can also go a step further by using the black pro mist if you really need it. It's going to bloom your highlights and all for your photos. So these are a lot of things that we can actually consider when we are starting out in photography and moving forward in purchasing much more expensive and professional lenses out there. I mean, in your experience, you've done a lot of weddings and all. What would you say is the peculiar effect that you've noticed in your work ever since you started using the 50mm and moving on to all these lenses that we have in front of us in your house now?
Yeah, I believe, upgrade is very important, first of all. And then the 50mm, it was doing great. I wouldn't lie to you.
That's why you even still have it in your house now.
Yes. It was doing amazing. And then when I switched to the 85 1.4, it was massive.
Yeah, the change, the development and the progress that you had in your pictures. Yeah,
I've had a number of clients. Who I'm still working with. They could tell the difference.
Okay.
The difference in the work output.
Yeah.
Because the images the 85 was creating. I was creating with the 85 was tremendous.
Yeah.
To be frank. So
the
85, it's an amazing lens. Yeah. If you have the means. There's
expensive.
No rush. It's very expensive.
It's expensive because if you can forgo all the things. I think the most important thing to actually consider when you are purchasing a lens, I wouldn't say it's just even one. There are a lot of them. It's the compression that you can get in the background as against the blurriness you can get. So let's say the 70 to 200. When you zoom all the way to 70, so from 70 to 200, you're going to get a much more closer background to your subject. And it might make the background look blurrier than using an 85mm because you're at a focal length of 200. So a much more compression will be up against that. And if you compare these two, because there's a 50 and there's an 85, you're going to get more compression in the background with the 85 over the 50mm.
So the 50 is a bit wider.
In width. So, you get to choose a lot of lenses because of a lot of reasons. It's not that you need one particular lens to do it all, but you'll be compensating others over others and compromising on some things because you want to maximize your productivity because of some particular reasons with the lens choices that you make. Alright, so basically, guys, this is the setup that Kwaku Woods actually used for his events. And this is not to say that you need everything over here, but if you are able to achieve the effects or the look that you have with the gear that you're using right now, is great. But if you're looking forward to maximizing what you can do, your skill set, and not just the gear that you have, you can look into these lenses because you have the technical know-how. And the reason why you are buying this is for that particular effect that these lenses can actually provide you. So you're not just following what a friend has, but you are actually looking at progressing in your skill because you understand what the lens can give you when you purchase them. So thank you very much for joining us over here on our channel. And I mean, it's been very, very helpful because we don't normally get people exposing out there, letting people know what their gear is about and why they used it and their experience a little bit of it. I think we have to actually go in depth into more into lighting with you because Kwaku Woods, I mean, he's been doing massively well in the industry over here in Ghana, and I think a thing or two can be picked up from his skill set, and we can all take a thing or two from it. So thank you very much once again for joining us. It's been a wonderful day. Thank you. And guys, I know that you guys have actually learned a thing or two from what we've discussed over here, and I know that you're going to make the right decisions anytime you're looking at buying another lens, not necessarily expensive, but something that can actually maximize your productivity in the next shoot that you're going to be having, especially when you're doing events, precisely weddings. So I'm going to catch you next time in the next video. Have a wonderful day. Don't forget to subscribe, turn on the post notification button, and tell me what you think about what we discussed over here. And there are lens choices, your ultimate set of lenses that you go for anytime you're shooting events. Share with us and let us know what you think about what we shared over here. And if it was really helpful to you, share across all social media platforms. And I'm going to catch you next time in the next video. Do well to turn on the post notification button because we share informative videos over here. And until the next time, I'm going to catch you later. Have a wonderful day. See ya.